right, being Tuesday, December 17th, 2024, this is the City Council meeting. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll for us, please.
Councilman Munger.
Here.
Councilman Haycraft.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Here.
Councilman Cohen.
Here.
Councilman Phillips.
Here.
Councilman Welch. Mayor Lauderman.
Here. There being a quorum present, I'll call the meeting to order. If I could get Councilman Munger to do the invocation, please.
Father God, we just come before you and we ask you for wisdom to guide us tonight, as well as every day. Help us lead this city, this community for what is the very best. We thank you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I need a motion to excuse Councilman Welch.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need approval of the agenda for tonight, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need approval of minutes for the regularly scheduled council meeting on December 3rd, closed sessions on the 7th of May, 21st of May, 4th of June, 16th of July, 6th of August, 20th of August, 3rd of September, 17th of September, and 15th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need approval of payroll and claims first half December of 2024.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Johnson. Hannibal.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for the invitation to be here this evening. I really appreciate that. As you mentioned, Mayor, my name is Susan Johnson. I'm the superintendent for the Hannibal School District and have been for, this is my 34th year. I appreciate the opportunity to come and kind of explain what's been going on and share with you some of the updates with you. Many of you probably are aware of many of these things, but just to kind of give a little bit of a recap, at the November 19th meeting that we had, the Board of Education made a very difficult decision to vote to close Eugene Field Elementary School at the end of the school year. The reason for that decision, and it was very, very difficult for them, is over the past many years, we've noticed a decline in our overall student enrollment. And in doing so, we've noticed a vast difference between our different elementary schools and their populations. And Eugene Field, for an example, had gone down to about 160 kids, which is drastically less. It's a great school, so don't misunderstand that. But as you know, there's just not a lot of homes in that area, and with the city, moving out the opposite direction, and probably other reasons too. That's the reason why that was done. In doing so, Eugene Field has kind of a special place in my heart because that's where my career started in Hannibal. But it's a wonderful building, has lots of wonderful memories, but we wanted to be able to utilize all of our buildings that we're very proud of, and Eugene Field happens to be our oldest building. It will be 100 years old next year. And trying to make the best situation for all of our students in our district. You may wonder about enrollment. I mentioned it had declined. Right now, our pre-K through 12th grade enrollment is 3,400 students. And so we've had a decline of around 300 students over the years, if you look, give or take. In our current 5 elementary schools, we currently have 1,343 students enrolled. And so if you look at our capacity of our 4 remaining schools, those other than Eugene Field, the capacity would be 1,650 students. So even if we were to have a growth population, which would be a great situation, we feel confident that we would be okay with that additional space that would be available with the 4 remaining schools. So with that being said, that's just some information there. So what do we do now? And this is a challenge because there's a lot of emotions involved when you're dealing with these things that we have fond memories of. But again, our focus is really on our staff and our students and our families. And so we want to make sure that that is a smooth transition as best we can for all of them, because that's our priority. So since the November meeting, obviously we had a holiday in there, so there's not been a great deal of time, but we've been working very, very diligently on establishing a timeline to be able to share the decisions that people are needing to know about as we move forward. We actually have our December board meeting tomorrow night, and I'll be sharing a timeline of how that information will be disseminated with the board tomorrow night at our meeting. And so that's the plan most immediately. As far as the building is concerned, as I mentioned before, Eugene Field has its 100th year anniversary next year. It's a great building. It's done a lot of good. But really looking at making decisions about what happens to Eugene Field, that's a big question I get naturally. And that's some decisions that the Board of Education is going to have to make as we move forward. Naturally, we're dealing with our staff and students initially, and that'll be something we need to address. And, the board realizes the weight of that decision and will want to utilize our community's input on what that is. I know as we had public forums around the community, I know several were concerned just not wanting the building to remain vacant and making sure it's of good use for that portion of our community, which is very important. So those decisions are yet to be made, but those will be made by the board as we move forward. Again, this has been I've gone through a lot of things in my tenure as a superintendent, but this has probably been one of the more difficult things that we've gone through. Never been through anything like this before, and we want to make sure that we are being good stewards to our students and our staff and our families and to the city of Hannibal. We want to make sure that every student in our school district gets the absolute best, and we set them up for success in that respect. In doing so, we want to be very compassionate and being very cautious as we navigate this path, being sensitive to emotions and wanting to do what's in the best interest for everyone concerned and making sure everyone feels a part of that decision. And since this is kind of in the newer stages, we're encouraging people in our community to stay apprised to our school district website, as we'll be sharing, the timeline that I share with the Board of Education tomorrow night, and any additional information that we would have either tomorrow night or in the future, so that way the community can know what's happening and when. And so that's kind of the plan as we move forward. I'm sorry I don't have a lot more details, but that's kind of where we're at. And everyone's been great to work with. And it's just, I know it takes a little bit of patience because everyone wants to know what the next step is right away. And we just want to be very cautious and considerate of everyone and making sure we're making wise decisions for them.
Well, I know I speak for the council that we appreciate kept in the loop on what you're going to do with the property there, so we know where that's going. And if you need our assistance or our input on anything,
thank you
we
very
would be
much.
more than happy to help you.
Thank you so much, and I will share that with the Board of Education as well as we move forward. And thank you so much for that, and we will most certainly do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you ready? All right.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Page by page.
Yeah, we're not going to go page by page. It might put you to sleep tonight if you need some help, but well, I'm Amanda Schultz. I'm an audit partner at Williams Keepers in Columbia, and joining me tonight is Kristen Brown. She was the manager on the city's audit again this year, and we'll be splitting our presentation this evening. We are just going to be going over our summary report, which hits the highlights of the individual reports that we issued as a result of our audit. So the first report is the audited financial statements themselves. So that document includes the city's annual financial statements as of and for the fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2024, along with our report on those financial statements. In our report, which is close to the front of the document, it's titled the Independent Auditor's Report. It's commonly referred to as the opinion letter. We issued an unmodified or a clean opinion on the financial statements. In our opinion, the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles or GAAP. That is the best opinion that the city can get, and it means that the users of the city's financial statements can rely upon them. So not just the financial statements themselves, but also the notes that support the financial statements. Management is ultimately responsible for the preparation and presentation of the financial statements. It is a common practice for us as independent auditors to actually prepare the financial statements as part of the audit. So we did so again this year, but they were reviewed and approved and accepted as management's representation before they were issued. Just a reminder that we do use our judgment anytime we perform a financial statement audit. So during our planning or like interim fieldwork phases of any audit, we perform a risk assessment process where we take a look at balances, transactions, processes, and controls. And we do so in order to identify areas where the financial statements could be materially misstated. And ultimately, that means that we don't audit every balance or every transaction that you see in these reports, but we do apply enough audit procedures to this information to be able to opine on it. And again, the city received an unmodified or clean opinion on its financial statements again this year. I guess another reminder, so the financial statements, one reason they're so lengthy, include two different sets of financial statements again this year. The government-wide financial statements are on pages 13 and 14, and that's where everything is really put together for the city. They're full accrual, so anything that needs to be reported for the city, capital assets, long-term debt, balances related to pension and OPEB plans, those are all reported in those government-wide financial statements on pages 13 and 14. And to follow those are fund financial statements, so they provide a lot more detail about the city's individual funds, which is more consistent with what you're seeing from an internal reporting perspective when you're looking at financials on a monthly or a regular basis. So there's several sets of those. They are separated into governmental funds on pages 15 through 18. And those are the funds, the general fund is the primary fund, but also special revenue funds that have revenue collections coming in from taxes and other general sources. The proprietary funds, their financial statements are on pages 19 through 21. Those are essentially the utility funds where they have revenue from user charges, and then also the fiduciary funds financial statements. Those are the last fund financial statements on pages 22 and 23. There is a custodial fund that the city has, but the largest fiduciary fund is the pension trust fund. Moving on to page 2 of the summary report, we have a table at the top that summarizes the highlights from the government-wide financial statements, again, where everything that the city is required to account for or report is included. This table summarizes the fiscal years ended June 30th, 2024, with comparative information for 2023. The audited financial statements themselves are not comparative, only the current fiscal year is presented. But the management's discussion and analysis on pages 4 through 12 discusses the changes in the various categories, kind of provides that analysis comparison to the prior year as far as the city's balances, transactions, and overall operations go. Before we move on to our other audit reports, we did want to comment on something that's discussed in that management's discussion and analysis on pages 4 through 12. It notes that the general fund has a pretty significant unassigned fund balance. The general fund is the only fund of the city that can carry a positive unassigned fund balance, and that does consist of amounts that are available for any purpose, and again, can only be reported in that general fund. So at the end of this fiscal year under audit, that unassigned fund balance in the general fund totaled about $11.4 million. That primarily consists of cash and cash equivalents of $3.1 million and investments of $8.1 million. So the assets do support that unassigned fund balance and were included in our audit. I think what we wanted to clarify tonight is that although that amount is available for spending at the city's discretion. That amount is also what's carried forward from fiscal year 2024 to fiscal year 2025 for next year's budget. So right now you're operating in fiscal year 25, so those balances carried forward. And that annual budget is prepared by the city's management, which was reviewed and approved by the city council. So again, although it can be spent at the city's discretion, there is a process for how that money does get spent or allocated to various programs and functions through the budgeting process. Are there any questions about the audited financial statements? Kristen's going to present a few more reports, if not, and we'll have time for questions at the end too. All right, the next report that I'm going to cover tonight is the auditor's communication letter. So this letter consists of comments about the audit process and its results, which are required under our auditing standards to communicate to the city council. A few highlights. So we noted no transactions that we considered both unusual and significant during the current fiscal year audit. We do like to identify any new accounting standards that could impact the city. So GASB Statement 100 related to accounting changes and error corrections was required to be implemented during fiscal year 2024 and was implemented, but there was no significant impact to the financial statements related to that specific statement. GASB Statement 101 relates to compensated absences, and that statement will be effective for fiscal year 2025. So we'll work with the city to determine the impact of that statement on the financial statements. Also, as a part of our audit procedures, we evaluate the key factors and assumptions used to develop any significant estimates that are recorded in the financial statements, and we found them reasonable in relation to the financial statements as a whole. So the most significant estimates that affect the city are the allowance for uncollectible receivables, the fair value of investments, the net pension liability, as well as the OPEB liability and the related deferred inflows and outflows. We also noted that financial statement disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear, and all required disclosures are included in the financial statements. We did find that the accounting records were in good order. We did propose several significant adjustments as a result of our audit procedures, primarily related to year-end accrual adjustments and the GASB 34 fund. And the complete listing of those adjustments is also included at the end of the auditor's communication letter. We did not have any disagreements with management on auditing or accounting issues and had no difficulties in performing our audit. We felt we received full cooperation from the city staff. The next letter that we issue is the management letter. So this letter is used to communicate any findings we may have about the city's internal control and certain other matters that we feel are important for the city council to be aware of. So although the scope of our engagement is not to issue an opinion on the adequacy of internal control, we do use and consider internal control as a basis for designing our audit procedures. So given this limitation and just the general inherent limitations related to internal control, we did not identify any material weaknesses as a part of our procedures. A significant deficiency in internal control is less severe than a material weakness, but is important enough to merit your attention. We have identified one significant deficiency, and that relates to the preparation of the financial statements. So as we are preparing and proposing significant audit adjustments to the financial statements, and those adjustments are reflected in the accounting system, we use that information to then prepare the financial statements. So since we do both of those, although management does review and approve those, we do identify that as a significant deficiency as we're kind of doing both of those things. Again, management does accept responsibility for those adjustments and the financial statements. So our recommendation there is just that the city start preparing those year-end adjustments so that we don't do that as a part of our audit process.
And the last report that I'm going to cover today is the report for MIRMA. So this specific report contains the city's schedule of payroll reportable to MIRMA for the year ended December 31st, 2023. And it also includes the schedule of that payroll information as well. We did issue an unmodified or a clean opinion on that specific schedule. That is all the detail of those reports that I was going to cover, but we'd be happy to answer any questions about any of the information that we've covered tonight or our audit process or anything like that.
Is this the first year that you guys have done this? Or
This is our fifth.
fifth year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys are located where?
We have offices in Columbia and Jefferson City.
And do you do other city audits on the side?
Yes, we do. We have how many
I would say
municipalities?
8 to 10 cities we work with on a basis. Some are on a rotation. We also work with counties and a significant number of special the property tax or sales tax required throughout Mississippi.
All about our size, bigger, smaller, or everything in between?
Yeah, I would say you guys are right. Probably only work with 2 municipalities, but a lot of times we find it's not about population per se, as far as what drives our audit procedure.
Right.
Like, it's more on to your citizens or to your employees, so kind of have to account for.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Without putting anybody on the spot, yourselves or the city, do you assign a grade or any type of evaluation that you could tell us?
To be honest,
Okay, good. I didn't want you to create one. I just was wondering. I just wondered if you had one. And I was following along fairly well, but could you go over that evaluation on the carryover funds? Could you condense that and give that to me once again?
Yeah.
Under the first portion, audited financial.
Yeah. So where I started that discussion a little bit in that table that summarizes government-wide financial, it shows the city's unrestricted net position as of June was 26.2. That's a big number, so there's a lot of smaller numbers that go into that. A lot of that actually go into audited financial statements themselves.
I was focusing on the 11
Yes,
point X.
absolutely. Yeah, so the general fund, operating, it has a balance sheet on page 15. It shows unassigned fund balance, $11.2. That's included part of that previous. And most of that consists of the cash and cash equivalents the fund has and investments. So because that is part of the fund's unassigned balance, there is cash and investments. That amount goes from cash and investments don't go away. That fund balance carries over from year 24 to 2025, and that is considered when there's. So, the city looks at what it needs to spend in the future and expects to come in, be collected. And the city does consider that unassigned fund balance, starting off with that $11 million position, is available for it comes up with the budget, set amendments to the budget
But that number would also include the 25% reserve that we're required to maintain for our bond rating.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, if I may, grant match for grants that we've applied for, that we've committed. So it's not in a technical term committed, but it's committed in the.
Yeah, there can be many things that balance trying to get it internally. But for of the audited financial statements and of course the accounting principles, terminology is a little different. So it's unassigned, it's kind of all in one fund. If there was anything in general fund, which is not common, that's restricted by a third party, it would show in the asset section where you have your cash, where you have your investment, it would show restricted. Some of your governmental funds do have. That's probably restricted tax collection. Have to be used for.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to hear that again so that I understood it. Thank you.
We appreciate the opportunity to work with you all, and thank you for your time this evening. And
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right, moving on, we'll go to the public comments section. Jeremy?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have an issue that I've been dealing with for years, and it's only progressed worse over the years. The address I live at, I've called and made several reports over syringes being thrown in my yard. And I'm going to leave names out of it, but there is a huge drug addict that lives in my area, and his property touches nowhere near this abandoned alley. And I maintain that and make that look good. I don't have to, but I do. And I even tried reasoning with the guy because he's watched me grow up as a child. He worked with my dad on the railroad. So I try to love on the guy the best I can. But now it's gotten to where he's got so much trash on his property. Stuff Mike saw it. Our alley is packed. And when I call law enforcement, I'm treated like I'm a fripping criminal. And I don't understand it. I don't understand why. I'd almost bet any of you all or any of them, no questions asked. If somebody was doing that in their neighborhood, it would be handled immediately. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I pay my taxes. I don't cause trouble. So I don't understand why I have to come to this extent and be treated like a criminal for standing up for my rights. We are getting ready to try to sell our home. And do any of y'all know what that does to the value on your home when it's full of trash? And syringes are thrown in your yard? Not only that, we got two little twins that live next door to us across the street. And that's putting them in harm's way. I've also seen the other side of my property where the alley is. I've seen them park the vehicle there. Why would they park the vehicle there? Walk down from up top? Because they keep drugs in there. You get a warrant. You get a warrant for the property. You can't come down here to somebody else's property unless you got a warrant for that. And I have reported that, and I've been treated like I'm stupid and I have no clue what I'm talking to. I worked at Marion County Sheriff's Office for years. I've seen it. I know what it's about. I'm asking for, please. That's all.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. James?
Oh, I thought James was another person who had a thing there. So we have the settlement agreement with Compassion Church. As I think the council is aware, it had some issues with some stormwater drainage, and they have worked with the building inspector. They have proposed a schedule of how they're going to accomplish things. I have drafted a document which is very similar to types of documents that DNR uses when they do a settlement with someone. Part of that settlement will be that if they comply with the agreement, we won't be issuing any further citations to them, and would recommend that the council go ahead and authorize the mayor to sign that. And I can answer any questions if anybody has any.
I'll make
Okay.
a motion to agree with that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, under myself, Hannibal Municipal Assistance Corporation, second reading. John Oberman, reappointment for a term to expire June of 25. Jason Kriegbaum, reappointment for term to expire June of 26. And Kathy Davis, reappointment for a term to expire June of 26. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You don't have. It says. Police and Fire Pension Board, second reading, Pat Benson, reappointment for a term to expire December 2027. Motion to approve that, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then have a recommendation of removal from the Hannibal Housing Authority Board of Kara Belcher. I won't go into specifics. You guys know.
Just
I would say if the board's in agreement, they deal with that.
They asked that.
That's in their purview, so I would back them.
All right, I'll need a motion to approve.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And then we have some potential charter changes. Changes to the charter section 11, proposition 3, section 11.10, 60-day notice for salary increases. This has to do with Board of Public Works. Hannibal.
I'm going to ask why.
Move it from under the charter to
Why section 11? That has to do with emergency management.
I'm pretty confident we got the right charter section. I can look it up. The issue is this. What the mayor had expressed to me as concerns was method as oversight by the council. Areas that were some discussion of possibly changing our structure from the place where we currently are, which is has certain powers that are set out in the charter, versus doing where, like, say, a town like Palmyra has it, where it's not in their charter, it's actually done by ordinance, which would allow changes to be done. There would be oversight in that method. The mayor and I discussed that, and my suggestion to the mayor was a better way to oversight would tweak particular portions of the charter in order to give you guys some knowledge as to what's going on. And those things that we did were specifically that the board, for instance, 60 days notice, they did a rate increase, they need to give you 60 days notice before they did major raises to all the employees. They would 60 days notice before they did the budget. That gives you the opportunity to look at things, to have a meeting with them and talk to them about your concerns. Not change their independence. It does is, and then there's also one which would allow you to request that they. The idea here is oversight, allowing the council to have input or make changes that are going to affect them. And I believe my understanding of what the mayor articulated to me was that it has been approached by multiple people in the community who feel as if there is not sufficient oversight by the council. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with that or disagree with that, but that is the concern that's placed. The idea here would be it doesn't take away their independence. It doesn't mandate that they do anything other than let you know what's going on. Council agrees by a majority of the council that something needs to be done.
So how does reducing the members to vote for impeachment, reducing them from
5 to
5 to 4, how
Makes a
does that
simple-
play
makes a
into
simple
oversight?
Makes a simple majority.
Would that be their own internal majority then?
That would be the
That would
majority
still
of
be the
this
mayor.
board. Currently, the way this board is set is that, pardon me, the way the charter is set is that if you choose to move a member of the Board of Works, Board of Public Works, pardon me, you can do so. As things are set right now, that would require a vote of 5.
5 members or 4 members with the mayor.
Correct. This would lower it.
So why are we making it easier to move the members if we're just trying to be more transparent about things?
Well, this is not my set of ordinances. These are things which I was requested to address. I can suggest to you what my understanding is. My understanding is the concern that the mayor and others have is that there is an attitude by the Board of Public Works that they don't answer to this council, and that therefore, as a corollary, they don't answer to taxpayers. And it makes absolutely no difference to me what occurs here. What I've done is drafted what would be required in order for you to put this on the ballot, to let the voters make the decision if they want to do. And I think the the reason why the mayor wanted me to do that was he wanted to give the voters the opportunity to vote on each of these issues and allow them to make that decision based upon things that have been expressed.
Okay. I know there was an argument over, rate increase on electric, but
There's an
And-
argument on everything, Mike, and you've known that for years, that the Board of Public Works operates with the community outside of the city. And much as I respect the people that run the board, the citizens of Hannibal have a say in how that's done. And right now, you have a city council that handles city business, and you have the Board of Public Works business, and there's a crossover. There's no oversight from the council that matters.
I probably attended those meetings for 10 years and had a very good relationship with them. In fact, I met with Paul today and found out that this is the 3rd year in a row that they've not met their bond covenants with their reserves being too low in their electric fund. And you broke the tie on keeping the electric rates low. I respect that, but you may have somebody come in and set them high next year. If we keep having the reserves too low, they could be set without our
It's a possibility.
our control.
It's a possibility. Or we could just have more people not pay their electric.
They certainly won't be able to pay them if some lawyer comes in and sets them
Absolutely
at 20%.
This gives the council a little bit more oversight, and it's voted on by the public. This is not something the council can come out and do.
Mike
And I feel that this is not a drastic step on the council. And if the citizens decide to leave it as is, they decide to leave it as is.
We don't get 60 days notice on a budget.
On the city budget,
On the city budget, we don't get 60 days notice.
when it comes to the
know what the
final.
budget is.
My concern is that this is going from virtually no oversight at all to micromanaging what they are doing. And I could see board members saying, I ain't going to put up with that and resign, and no one else wanting to go serve on the board because the city council is basically taking over control.
So you're happy with the city council
I-
having no control over the
I
city?
did not say that.
Exactly what
but no.
you were saying.
No, I said going from what we have now
It's not
to,
micromanaging. If micromanaging would be if I asked to have it taken out from underneath the charter and put back under the city council as it was before. That's micromanaging.
no, I just think
And once
there's an
again,
in-between point that we can
This
reach.
is a very good in between. Citizens get to vote. It's not something we can put in place, it's something they have to vote on. Do they not deserve a chance to vote on these changes? There's a lot of others that I really wanted to do, but I did not. I stayed with.
My concern with putting it to the citizens would be understanding the cost of purchase power of electricity is a very complicated thing. And for them to outlay so much money to cover that purchase power, it's hard to grasp. And as most citizens, as myself, I don't want my bill up. I agree 100%. But I also want a solid W. That's my.
I feel like I've been more educated on Board of Public Works and over the last several months with everything that's gone on. And, but I also have seen that people expect, or the people of Hannibal expect the Board of Public Works to be a city-wide thing, but it does not. And the stuff that was going on was not coming before us. Yes, the mayor was the tie-breaking vote, but their board is 4 people. You know, 2 of them voted for the lower rate increase. You know, so they were split on that. I think it does have good oversight for us to be able to be more involved in that, just for a protection on both sides. You know, I think we've all agreed that the rates had to go up. It's at what point where it needs to be, and I think they've done what's right. What has to be done in the future, you know, it's gonna change, I'm sure. But there's a lot of things, and I like being more involved in. Ultimately, it's up to the voters, though.
I agree. It should be. But it's up to us to present something to the voters that is equitable, I feel,
In reasonable.
and reasonable.
You don't think any of
I didn't say it. I don't think any of it's reasonable. 60-day notice, I think is unreasonable.
for what? For the salary increases, for the budget, for the
Salary
rate
increases,
Which
I think
one?
salary increases is fine. But which salaries are we talking about? Only the senior members or every single employee at Board of Public Works?
Basically, and I'm paraphrasing, talking about an across-the-board raise. That would be,
Okay.
just a person earns increase, blah, 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 it's not across the board, everybody at 10%. Then that would be something we have to cancel. Just to play devil's advocate, I'm not taking a side in this regards. I'll tell you 2 reasons for that. One, Palmyra's time period. Reason for that is think about scheduling meetings and when meetings are, having it to where you have sufficient notice to follow the process that the mayor set out, which is find out something in the council discussion with the board, then request the board meet with you, take action. If something has to have action taken, 30 days isn't.
Okay.
60 days may be too much time, but I think the concern that the mayor had, and I know the concern that Palmyra had because I drafted that one for them to talk to me. The concern was that 30 days was sufficient. Palmyra had a provision that was similar to this, and there was a situation where there's just simply not enough time to be correct. So
Your bill doesn't say across the board raise, your bill says 10%.
and again, I base this, quite frankly, on the stuff that Elmira got. Now, regarding how it goes back, I don't care. I can make such changes as the council deems appropriate, submit what mayor's requested to the public. I'm not taking a position appropriate. So my only reason for jumping in is I'm the one that drafted it, so I know. And I know why some of those provisions are in there. I know why the 60 days is in there. In regards to provision about raises, if that's something appropriate, there's alternative language, I can certainly make the change if the mayor is willing to.
That's fine. Whatever they feel is appropriate. But 60 days, it seems best time.
What about appointing a city council person or mayor or toward their board to join that board as a?
I don't think we should council. Unless you moved it back under the city. Want to add a fifth council person? I think
they would like to have an odd number. That's the reason. Darren, is it reasonable for you to have a budget, 60 days, a finalized budget, 60 days prior to new fiscal year?
Paul.
We sure do.
Okay, what about a rate increase, 60-day, a final? Could we put maybe in there, change it to
60 days
proposed?
is not enough time for a budget, or clarify what you're saying? That's fine.
Okay,
I'd keep it at 45 days.
and what about rate increases? Do you know enough in advance that you could have 60 days? What's it?
It's something they're already doing.
Vote however you. I'm bringing this. Brought to me. I'm bringing it. I have my feelings, obviously. By your city council. State your name.
My name is Bill Dees. I've served on council. I've served on the Board of Public Works. And on I think it's a dozen different boards that I've served on. Board of Public Works is the toughest one I've ever served on because of the complexities of electric rates and the consumables used in this community. So it's vital that professionals, like you have in the back of the room, present a budget to you so you can make a logical decision. I know that the mayor is part of the Board of Public Works voting structure if the mayor attends. And that's not always the case. When I was on, you attended a couple of times, as I recall, as you transitioned on. The question that I have for you to consider is, was it 50 or 60 years ago that the Board of Public Works was created as an independent body within the format created by this city council and I believe the state of Missouri? And I think it's a caution that you have to be aware of why that was created. And changing that literally with 5 proposals to send to a public, you're asking as a representative body, that's the kind of government we have, you're asking uninformed citizens to determine rate structures, salary structures on a vote in the box. So you're asking them to make an uninformed decision that they in effect have asked two boards to make as informed. Does that make sense? Just like you've studied the budget, which is pretty complex. If these ladies come in and present that to you, it takes a while to understand that. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but it takes a while to understand those budgets and where the money flows. And again, you're asking 5 specific items. So I would suggest strongly that the mayor attend more of the Board of Public Works meetings. I know Alderman Dodson has. That's your link between your councils and your boards, as well as consider that 5th person on the Board of Public Works to break ties when the mayor's not available, and he's not always available, or she. So I'm suggesting that you deliberate a little bit more on this, table it, have some more discussions before you throw something out there on a ballot that is pretty incomplete. Thanks for your time.
Again, it's you as a council that gets to decide. These are requests. These are the changes I'm.
I'd be inclined to table these motions for the time being.
Is that a motion?
I will make a motion to table.
I'll second.
Favor?
Aye.
Councilman Munger,
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilman Cohen,
Yes.
Councilman Phillips,
Yes.
Mayor Lauderman.
No. Andy. Lisa.
So before you this evening is an approval of an appointment for the Park Board for Christy Trevathan for a term to expire July of 2027.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matt?
I'm here this evening to ask for your all's approval to allow the Board of Public Works to enter into an agreement with Adams County 911 Board for lease. They want to put antennas on our south side tank, Westfall, and because it not only attached to the tank, it involves real estate. I was advised by legal to seek your all's approval. So just asking for your all's approval to allow Darren to enter into that agreement.
So Ethan has reviewed the lease much more in depth than I did. He has no legal objection to it.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Trish?
Good evening, Council. Before you, I have a request for us to enter a grant application to the Missouri Division of Tourism under the Marketing Platform Development, and if awarded, for the mayor to enter into the grant agreement. This MPD program is allowing a request up to $30,000 of wayfinding materials and installation, with the CBB matching the grant dollars 50-50. So the total amount would be $60,000. So my request is that this application be approved and enter into the agreement if awarded the money. And I will answer any questions anyone has.
What is wayfinding materials?
So wayfinding materials are basically like big signage. This one particular that I'm looking at looks kind of like a column, and they're put in different places around town to promote events, attractions, anything that's going on. So with this grant, we don't have any. We could also use it for welcome signage. Our welcome signage to Hannibal is still in pretty good shape. So this is an opportunity for us to grab some wayfinding materials and get half the bill paid for by the state.
The $30,000 for us comes out of tourism.
Correct. And just a reminder to everyone here, tourism money is bed tax money. It's not general fund money. So
Asking for the people out here.
yes, thank you for that. But yes, it will be bed tax money that pays for the $30,000.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Chris,
Yes.
just like to recognize all of your hard works and effort on the Molly Brown home. It's got a new home
She's
today,
home
and-
tonight, so
Yeah, it's awesome.
yeah, thank you. In that token, Hunter and
yeah.
Bradley, we've got a lot of donations in money and labor and materials that has helped keep the cost down for tourism to be able to do this. But it was a great day and some history was made, and now we can.
Awesome project. You look good on TV.
Thank you. Thanks for the support.
Good job.
All right, now we have bill number 24-027. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a second and final reading.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 24-027, an ordinance providing for a municipal election to be held on Tuesday, April 8, 2025, to allow Hannibal voters to consider an amendment to the charter of the city of Hannibal to amend section 9.13A6 to allow the city to utilize national bidding procedures in addition to the state of Missouri cooperative bidding procedures. Second and final reading. Councilman Munger.
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilman Cohen.
Yes.
Councilman Phillips.
Yes.
And Mayor Lauderman.
Yes. I declare bill number 24-027 duly approved and adopted on this day. We have bill number 24-028. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 24-028, an ordinance of the City of Hannibal providing for a general municipal election to be held Tuesday, April 8, 2025, for the purpose of electing a municipal judge. Councilman Munger.
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilman Cohen.
Yes.
Councilman Phillips.
Yes.
Mayor Lauderman.
Yes. Declare bill number 24-028 duly approved and adopted on this day. And we have bill number 24-029. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 24-029, an ordinance of the City of Hannibal providing for a municipal election to be held Tuesday, April 8, 2025, for the purpose of electing a mayor and council members for the second and fourth wards. Second and final reading. Councilman Munger.
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilman Cohen.
Yes.
Councilman Phillips.
Yes.
Mayor Lauderman.
Yes. I declare bill number 24-029 duly approved and adopted on this day. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a second and final reading. Bill number 24-030.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 24-030, an ordinance of the City of Hannibal authorizing the mayor to execute a $4,381 Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Airport and agreement between the City of Hannibal, Missouri Highways Commission for the funding for terminal renovations and drainage repairs at the Hannibal Regional Hospital. Airport. Second and final reading. Councilman Munger.
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Yes.
Councilman Cohen.
Yes.
Councilman Phillips.
Yes.
And Mayor Lauderman.
Yes. I declare bill number 24-030 duly approved and adopted. Table that one. We have bill number 24-032. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a first reading. It's part of the table. All right. Anybody have anything else tonight? Need a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.